ScrubGames. It's ScrubGames. Double up. Drop a like, drop a sub, go ahead and subscribe to ScrubGames. Drop a like, drop a sub, go ahead and subscribe to ScrubGames.
How's it going, Scrub Gamers? Welcome back to another video here at Scrub Games, and today we've got a nice little discussion video, and this is one of them that's part of the Yoda month that I'm doing on the channel, where I'm just focusing on Yoda for the whole of February. And for this video, it's a bit of discussion going over Yoda and his art of trolling, because if you haven't seen my deck of the week video from this week, showing my deck list I took to locals last week, showing my the Burn Yoda deck, then go and check that out. And if you haven't, then you can watch this and then go and watch it after to kind of see the deck list for it. Because Yoda is a really cool leader, one of my favorite leaders from set 3, and it's a great way to set up a certain combo, and a great combo to make use of some cards that really don't see play, or don't see play often, or see play at all, that are pretty cool and just seem like really cool effects, but there's no way to really pull them off effectively and easily in a competitive format. But then Yoda came about and actually gave rise to this, and it's pretty fun. So I'm thinking, what is the combo? Before we get into that, we're going to say, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to keep updated with my videos as when they drop, and also click that notification bell so you can get alerts for when my videos do drop, so you can watch them there and then, or later at a certain point when you feel you're able to. So without further ado, let's get into the video and kind of check out the combo and check out Yoda's trolling. So these are the two cards that are the combo. So Endless Legions is a powerful event from set 2. That is one of the legendary ones as well. So it's one of the more higher rarity cards, and it's a high costing card of 14, double command as well. So you need to have, if you don't want to take the aspect ability for it, you have to have double green as your leader base combo, but you don't have to if you don't want to. But if you do, it's going to cost more. It's going to cost an extra 2 on top for every aspect that doesn't match, so it can go up to 18 if you have no green across your leader and base, which Yoda won't have. So you're not going to be hard casting it, because there is a card called Your Only Hope right next to it there that can play it for free or even at a cheaper cost as well. So Endless Legions, like I said, is a powerful event that, well, as it says on the card, you can reveal any number of your resources you control, and then play each unit revealed this way for free, and you do it one at a time. It doesn't say one at a time on the full art for some reason. Like, they take out some of the like helpful text on the full art, so it doesn't say that, but you do play it one by one. So it means you can play out any unit from your resources for free and play them just one at a time. So it means you've got some good combos by playing them out a certain way, or just playing out like a huge board of like massive proportions that you would normally never have if you hardcasted it, which is cool. And even mix and matching, having cards that really you wouldn't normally play with Yoda, like dark side cards and stuff like that, which is really cool. And the way to play this out as part of the combo is You're My Only Hope, because this is a card all the way from the back from set 1 that was very cool, but it had no really real consistent way to play it back in set 1 or set 2. But now with Yoda coming up that we had in set 3, there's a more consistent way to do it due to Yoda's effect. And You're My Only Hope is a free cost event, and it allows you to look at the top card of your deck, and you can play it, and it costs 5 less, so it costs 5 less than its actual cost. So because since it's not playing it for free, you have to take into the aspect penalties as well. So if the card's out of aspect, you will have to pay additional on top. It does reduce the card by 5. But the kicker here is if your base has 5 or less remaining HP, so if you're at 30 health base, if you're 25 health, or 25 damage or more that doesn't kill you, you can play the unit for free. Same with on a 25 health base. If you've got 20 damage on it, or like anything base, as long as you're 5 or less health in your base, you can play it for free, and it means you can then potentially play out Endless Legion without warring the aspects and stuff like that, without paying 14 resources, and play it for free from the top of your deck. So that is the combo. It's crazy. I remember having put in my Discord a list using this kind of combo that was kind of like using the burn version. And then after testing it a bit, because I just thought that was amazing. Like, I love Your Man Hope. I've always been trying to like pull it off with hand back in set 1, and then forgot about it set 2, and then Endless Legions, that was a card that I looked at when I want to try and pull it off in double green pout and stuff like that. Just basically make use of it at least one time in a deck, use it and pull off a combo with it, like build like some crazy huge board. And then Yoda came about on that list, and I now started thinking about it with the burn one. What else can you kind of do with Endless Legions? Like, what kind of things can you do? Like, what can you play out? And then started like basically constructing lists, testing them, and came up with 2 very fun and very, well, if you're my opponent, annoying lists to play. Like, since testing on Carabas, I've had a lot of like dislike from players in the chat and stuff, where they get a bit aggressive, like you normally see from people online when they hid behind a keyboard and stuff. But these are the combo, and I'm going to go over what the combo entails. So, how the combo works. Step 1, step 1, and one thing I should say is step 1 and step 2 can be switched up. You don't have to have them in that specific order for step 1 and 2, but you do have to have step 1 and 2 the same. What happen at least one of them still. First one, step 1 is take damage on your base until you have 5 or less remaining HP. So like we've got here, Dagobus Swamp. I keep forgetting the name of it. How to pronounce it properly, but it's Dagobus Swamp. If you want to take damage, you got 25 damage on your base ideally, or like close to it when you like 25 to 29, so you can actually do it. And then step 2 is remove a unit from board. That could be, remember that could be either your unit, so you crashing your own unit into one of theirs to suicide it, or using one of the many removal options you have in blue to remove it. So you got like, Vigilance as a removal option, take down Father Dragon, Vanquish, Rivals 4, you got loads of them. Just remove a unit from board. It doesn't have to be yours, it could be yours or your opponent's, as long as the unit's removed from board. Because then that will trigger step 2, or step 3, which is Yoda's effect. Because here it is, the other part and why Yoda works so well with it. It's because Yoda has effect on when it's in the lead area. That's an action by tapping him, where if a unit left played his face, it's any unit, yours or your opponent's. You draw a card, then put a card from your hand on top or bottom of your deck. So, as you probably already guessed, you use Yoda the top deck, Endless Legion. So, you remove something, after you remove something from board, and you've got the 25 damage on your base, or 5 health remaining, then you use Yoda to draw a card, and top deck Endless Legion. And then simply the last step, step 4, is to play your Moni Hope to look at the top card of your deck, see it as Endless Legions, show as Endless Legions and play it for free, and then play out everything in your resources for free. So that is essentially the combo, how it works. Pretty simple, just requires those 2 cards and Yoda's your leader, and Yoda's very easy to trigger because you just have to remove, like I said, any leader or any unit from board. So it could be, like I said, suiciding your unit into your opponent's unit, taking out one of your opponent's unit either by attacking or with a unit, or by just going ahead and using one of the many events. As long as a unit is removed from board, you can trigger Yoda them. And there are 2 versions that I have. So, like you've seen the burn version, and I've got another version, which is like Yoda's army, which I call Build a Board, because it is essentially building a board, and a huge board at that. So let's have a look at the first one, which is the burn version. So with the burn version, these are the units I play. I don't play any other like units, or need too many other units, because these are the ones that kind of make it work. So you've got these as your units to play, like just the only units you play in it. Because you've got the whole focus of burning. We're going to go for each one and see kind of what, I kind of do explain this in the deck profile if you just want to watch that, if you just want to have the burn version, but there's another version, and if you're interested in that, stay tuned, and also check out the timestamps, because you can go through and just jump to different things. So, with the burn version, we've got the main 2 that we want is Fighters for Freedom and Clone. Fighters for Freedom is a lot more important than Clone. Clone is just a way to extend your copies of it, because, like it says on screen, Fighters for Freedom is just a red unit you can play out that does 1 damage to a base per copy when you play a red card. So for every copy of Fighters for Freedom, you'll do a damage for each one to your opponent's base. It says to a base, but it's always going to be opponent's, for every time you play a red card. And since you play the cards one at a time from Endless Legions, you can play out the Fighters for Freedom first, and then the clones, the copied Fighters for Freedom. Then you have to play the other red cards, so that way the Fighters for Freedom trigger for each one burning, which is cool. And then, like we said, clone is just a way to copy Fighters for Freedom, have more copies, because more copies means more burn. So Fighters for Freedom, or clone will just copy a Fighters for Freedom. Since it comes into play as a copy of that card, Fighters for Freedom will see it come into play as a Fighters for Freedom, and basically just have never one be a red card come into play. So it technically counts as a red card come into play as long as you're copying a red card, which you always will be. And that means you can have 6 Fighters for Freedom on board, and that means 6 damage after you've got all 6 of them out, to do 6 damage per red card, which doesn't take many. It takes 5 after. You might think it's going to take 5 after you've got all 6 of them on board to start doing the damage to win base, but you got to remember that as you play your Fighters for Freedoms, as you play more copies of them, they'll burn themselves. So in the process of getting all 6 out, if you do that, that's extra 10 damage, because remember, the first 5 freezes could come out, the second one's going to come out, the first one's going to see the second one, and burn for 1. You play the third one out, the first 2 are going to see that third one come out, and they're going to burn for 1 each, that's 2, so that's 3 damage already. Then when the fourth one comes out, the other 3 on board are going to see that fourth one come out and do it for 3, that's 6. And then when you play that, well, I think it's 15 for that. So when you play your 5th one out, so copy a clone copying it, the first 4 are going to see that one, the initial 4, that's 10. And then for the 5th one, well, sorry, for the 6th one, that's good. The other 5 are going to do damage, meaning 15 damage just from playing those out. So it means you don't need, all you need really is 3 more red units after you've got all those out to burn to finish a game at 30 damage, or even more for that matter. So those are the main important pieces you need in your resources. So you need at least 1 Fast Freedom. Like you could. Well, the thing is, you need at least 1 Fast Freedom, because clone, unless there's Fast Freedom for clone to do copy, you're not copying anything relevant, because the other cards that burn are just K2SO, which then won't trigger K2SO remove because it treats itself as not unique, so it won't trigger K2SO to pop, and then you won't be able to copy Ruthless because it's a vehicle, which clone can't do. So you need at least 1 Fighters of Freedom minimum. You can have just 1 Fighters of Freedom and 3 clones, and that'll still do the trick. Next, we've got the the other cards that kind of burn and trigger burn. So you've got Ruthless Raider as a way to add additional burn. So it means that for every Fighters of Freedom on board, Ruthless Raider would do whatever damage you normally do per red card, plus an extra 2 thanks to this effect, and is also a red unit to trigger them. Same with K2SO, is a red unit to trigger your Fighters of Freedom, and it's also one that can do additional damage if you do defeat it. Now, if you've got multiple copies of K2SO, anytime you bring out a second one with one already on board, it will trigger one of them to be destroyed, so which then trigger the effect. Because it doesn't matter when it's defeated or how it's defeated, just that it's defeated. And if you don't have multiple copies of K2SO in your resources, and you don't have a way to trigger Ruthless Raider and you want multiple of them, you have Squadron of Vultures as a way to kind of trigger them. Because this is a red unit that comes in with Exploit 3, so it can basically defeat up to 3 units to reduce its cost of its being played by, 2 for everyone. And even though Endless Legions plays the cards out for free, you can still trigger Exploit on Vulture Squadron of Vultures when you play it, to be able to still defeat the Ruthless Raiders and K2SOs that trigger them, even though it's permanent to play. You can still do that. So you can still play out Squadron of Vultures, exploit all 3 Ruthless Raiders, and even though it's still coming out free, you can still do that to still trigger them, because that will mean then you'll get an extra trigger off Ruthless Raiders to deal an extra potentially 2 per copy, and even K2SO deal an extra 3 damage to your opponent's base. So there's extra ways to do damage outside of just having Fighters of Freedom. And that brings us to the last of the red units being Pre-Visitor. You might be thinking, why choose Pre-Visitor as the last of the red cards? Now, it comes in threefold for Pre-Visitor. He has 3 good uses. Like when I was figuring out the list before I saw, it was it took a little bit of time to figure out why he's in there, but there is a reason why. So there's 3, as I said, there's 3 reasons. First one is he's part of your Mandalorian upgrade package, because you play a Mandalorian upgrade package, including This Is the Way, because This Is the Way is a nice little event that you can play as early as turn 1, and that allows you to look at the top 8 cards of your deck, grab any 2 Mandalorian and or upgrade cards, fill them and draw them. So there's a fair few. Well, you play a lot of upgrades. Well, not a lot, but a fair few upgrades. Very important ones to help you survive or heal or defend. And it is a Mandalorian card itself, so you can search for itself. And also, Pre-Visitor is one of those that you can search, so you can potentially search either an upgrade, another copy itself, or a red card to then have a red card to resource if you don't have one already. So it comes important for that. The next one is it's a high costing card for Yoda, so when it does is when deployed, which is then allows you to mill the top card of your deck and defeat a unit that's not a leader that has a cost less than or equal to its cost. Previous is a nice one because it's a 7 cost card, so it's a high costing card for Yoda's when deployed effect. So second reason there. And the last reason is, as you know, it's a red card for Fighters Freedom. So it's a red card for Fighters Freedom, a Mandalorian to search for This Is the Way, and a high costing card for Yoda to be able to use it and defeat something if you need to deploy Yoda when you can. So that is the reason we play Pre-Visitor. I hope that makes sense. There are additional units we do play that aren't red as well, that you can play if you want to. They're options that are also part of the Mandalorian package, and that is Concord, Dawn Interceptors, and Razor Crest. Now these are both useful for 2 different reasons. Concord, Dawn Interceptors is great for those, if you want to combat those space-focused decks that just spam those space units, cheap and just aggro you down, as a way to kind of defend yourself against them by blocking them and allowing you to basically defend yourself. So things like Django, you can help against when they're playing out the space units, like those low health units like Kaido's TIE Silencer or Lurking TIE Phantom. You can play Assault to defend, and then it'd be defeated most likely when it is eventually, because they're defending it. They're gonna take it out through attack, it's like spamming attacks, and that also trigger Yoda, which is great. And then you have Razor Crest, which is a very useful card as well, which is a little bit more expensive than Concord Ornate Centers, but it offers some nice things. Both of them are Mandalorian cards to be searched from that Mandalorian event. And Razor Crest also has the ability to, when played, grab back on your upgrades. You've got many good upgrades, and the ones we play like there are just like Top Target, Entrenched, Perilous Position, really handy upgrades to grab back and use to help you defend yourself and heal. And it also has Restore 2, so if it does survive, it's going to be attacking and healing, and also potentially taking out every space units that are on board, or just ramming into them to kill itself, so you got where you can trigger Yoda, which is very, very handy. So those are the extra additional units you play for the burn one. Now we go over into the Ever version. So that's the one of the versions, and then the other version we have is our our Build-A-Board one, so Yoda's army. So let's check out that. So for the second version, which I call Build-A-Board, is this. Essentially, you bring out all the most powerful units you can think of, like the strongest, biggest units you can, and just bring out a huge board full of them, and you've got some really big, good big hitters you have in both the space arena and the ground arena as well. So essentially, how this works with the Build-A-Board is you've got the good ones in the space arena, so you can build out loads of good ones here. So you've got these big ones, you've got Chimera, Redemption, and Relentless you can bring out. Now, you might be thinking, why would you bring these ones out when there are other ones that are bigger than that or stronger than that? Well, Chimera is one you're probably thinking, that's an odd pick. But this is a great one because it's useful against hand control. Well, no, sorry, not hand control. Hard control decks that are just going to try and control the board to smash out, like spam out Super Laser Blast. Because this is a nice one for against hard control decks. You can swing and then rip their Super Laser Blast from the hand. Because remember, every time it attacks, you can name a card in your opponent's hand and make them, and then they have forced to discard it. You get a look at the hand and then discard that card that you named. So this is handy for most of the time when you pull off the combo. When I've pulled off the combo, my opponent's just taking the initiative because I've got nothing else to do. And then I just normally top deck Endless Legion with Your Mind Hope, build a board, and now on the next turn, they probably are going to try and wipe my board. But if I got Chimera on board and a Relentless together, I don't have to worry about that first event that they're going to bait out to trigger. And then I can swing with Chimera, name Super Laser Blast. Not only doing 8 damage to their base, but I'm also getting rid of their only way to kind of deal with my board. Because most of the time throughout the game, they're probably going to resource some Super Laser Blast because I'm not playing anything until I do the combo. Next one we've got is Redemption. This is a handy one to make you heal. Because remember, you go to 5 remaining health on base to trigger the combo. So you're going to be dead if you don't heal when you do. With the burn one, you just kill him in one turn. Whereas with the Build-A-Board one, you're not going to be killing him in one turn. You could be building out a huge board that can't deal with from the next turn and then win for that. So you're going to need some healing as well. And Redemption is a great one to heal a good amount of damage from your base because it allows you to heal up to 8 damage from your base, move on to itself. And since it's gone to itself, you don't really care about that because you don't care if Redemption dies because it's weak because it's got 1 less health, but you do care about the damage on your base. So taking 8 off essentially your base and put it on itself is great to heal, go from 25 down to 17 health. And you got Relentless. This is great for against those hard control decks where they've mostly focusing on events to try and remove stuff and don't really play anything to the board. And you can play this out, block their first event to protect your huge board against things like Super Laser Blast. And with Chimera, you can deal with that. Not have to worry too much about that. The other space units we've got is Devastator Finalizer. And Devastator is just a nice one because it's a huge hitting spaceship that can protect you from in space with Sentinel. So it's a huge Sentinel that you have to go through before getting to your base. Like if you do have Redemption, that's another Sentinel, but this one's a big one that's going to be healthy at 10, and you're not really going to do much damage because by the time you've played everything out, you can either have 0 resources or 1, so you're not going to do much damage from it, but it's mainly that it's there as a big 10 damage spaceship that's going to go to their base in the next turn, and 1 that's a huge Sentinel for their space focused stuff. And then you might be thinking as well, if you're doing this and they've built up a board, they're just going to kill you next turn with the board. Well, that's where Finalizer comes in. And Finalizer is a very nice one that really doesn't see play. It's at 11 cost, 11/11 for its stats. And it's got a nice effect. When played, you can choose any number of your friendly units, and each of those units captures an enemy non-leader unit in the same arena. So it allows you to essentially build a board and then clear your opponent's board by taking theirs. And what you're mainly going to do is put all the units you take from them and capture under your units that are shielded, so that way they can't get them back or have to go for the shielded unit before getting them back. And since you could be taking their, if they got a wide board, you could take, and you're building a wide board, you're just going to take all their stuff and put under yours. Now they've got no board, and they have to deal with your huge board. And if they don't have things like Super Laser Blast or multiple Super Laser Blast to kind of deal with it, they're just going to die to a huge board you've built up. Remember, this is just a space arena. There's also the ground arena as well. And these are the 3 ground arena units you're going to have to help you heal your base. And I've gone, most of the time when I've played this deck and tested it, a lot of the time, because I've been testing it a lot, you can heal your base all the way down to 0, so then your opponent's back at phase 1, where they've got to try and do 100, like, full damage to your base. They haven't done any damage to your base because you healed completely, or you've healed enough where they're way off, will have no board, and you having a huge board and not being able to damage you and finish you off. Because you've got Cargo Juggernaut, which heals 4 damage from your base per copy, as long as you control an error blue unit. You will control an error blue unit, because by the time you've done the combo, there'll be at least 1 blue unit, be it Redemption, another copy of itself, or Luminara there, to basically bring out and basically heal your damage, and for 4 each, that's up to 12 damage you can heal from all 3 Cargo Juggernauts. Then you've also got the Reinforcement Walkers. Now these can heal 3 damage from your base per copy, as long as you have cards on your deck. So as long as you haven't decked out, or still have like some cards left in your deck, you can, when played, allow you to essentially go ahead and discard a card from your, like, look at the top card of your deck, discard it and heal 3 damage your base. That's another 9 damage you can heal from if you have all 3 of those out. And plus then they're heavy hitters as well for the next turn. That can also heal more on attacks. And then you got Luminara. This is one that I didn't include until quite late in the building process when testing, because I completely forgot all about this. And this is a really nice one because it heals damage from your base depending on how many units you play out from Endless Legion. And as long as you're playing a good amount, and even if you don't have many but you have enough to have a healing, this can heal you a lot. Because say you bring out all the units you've seen so far. So if you say you bring out all 5 of those space units you saw, then you bring out all of these, that's at least 8 damage you're healing from your base. And if you've got Cargo Juggernauts on board, that's another 4 per, and then it triggers for that. You've got Redemption as well, so you can potentially heal your base from being 5 away from death to being like untouched, fresh, clean base. So those are some of our ground arenas. Those are the healers on the ground arena. Then we've got the Everground Arena units that are kind of helpful and kind of provide some nice little options. So you have Emperor Palpatine, and this is a nice one because it pings 6 damage however you choose on the board, which is mainly used to finish off your leaders or who might be still on board. So when your opponent's got a leader out, they might have a bit of damage on it from maybe attacking your leader or taking some damage a little bit. And Palpatine is a nice way to help finish something off, finish your opponent's leader off, or do enough damage so when they do attack to one of your big things, they're going to die from it. So that's a good way to have that. And then you've got Crate Dragon. We've all seen Crate Dragon. Crate Dragon's huge, a huge 10-10 unit that throws damage at your opponent's base whenever they play a card to make it harder for them to come back, or even at your opponent's ground units. So if you've got like Crate Dragon and Palpatine, you can have Palpatine do some damage to it and Crate Dragon out. So if they do play anything that's remotely decently cost, it's going to do some damage out of your opponent's base or to their to the unit, to the leader to finish it off as well once you've cleared their board. And the nice thing about Crate Dragon is you can have multiple of them. So if you've got, say, 2 on board, that's whatever they play, you're going to do double that card's cost to the base as damage, meaning it's even harder for them to come back. And if you've damaged their base a little bit throughout the game, then it's going to just mount up. And then we've got Dryden. Now this one is highly reliant on you also having Finalizer, which normally you would want to play more than one Finalizer deck, so you can kind of have it to make sure when you've built your board, you've removed their board. And Dryden's a nice one to allow you to essentially turn one of those cards you do take from your opponent's board when you clear it to be on your side and helpful, because it allows you to give you a protected unit for Finalizer to capture something, and then trigger Dryden after you've taken stuff from Finalizer, because you can choose what order things to play with, then all played at the same time, or played in order you can play Dryden last, and then allow you to basically play it on your board that you've captured. So if they've got a Luke on your board that you've captured, play it out on your board, and then have a Luke in addition to all that. And then you've got the last one being Clone. Now this can copy any one of these cards. You can actually have 2 Drydens to actually play 2 things that your opponents played, or that you've copied for your opponents, play onto your board. You can another copy of Crate Dragon, so you have an extra copy of Crate Dragon. or an extra copy of Palpatine, so you can do 12 damage to your opponent's leader if they still got out to finish off to make sure you clear the entire board. So one clone in there is a nice little handy one, and on Carabas isn't the greatest to have in there most of the time, because if you only see your vehicle units and don't see any of your non-vehicle units when having it, clone's not going to copy that. But you can always copy one of your opponent's units with clone if you do have that. If you don't have that option, on at least on Carabas, so you can still make use of it, not have it come out as a 0/0 that does nothing. But those are the ground units, and essentially like what you play out from this. Like when you build a board, you build this huge board, and those are the two versions. Next, we've got the color combinations. So there are two color combinations that kind of work very well with Yoda, and that's double blue or blue yellow. Now, blue red and blue green, like green can offer you options and stuff, and like maybe a ramp, but then the ramp you can get with a light side leader isn't things like super laser blast that you can then play back out, and then they die and they go back in your resources, active for the use. But you can only really use, like at the moment, really resupply as a consistent way to ramp with it, and you don't really want to ramp with resupply because that's a card in your resource. There's not a unit you can play out, so it's kind of useless. You're not really doing something that turn, you're not moving anything, triggering Yoda to kind of fill it for your deck. And red doesn't really have anything until we see, because we do know in set 4 there's going to be apparently a card in red that will increase your resources permanently, but we need to see that yet. But at the moment, blue and yellow are probably the best ones because they give the best version, like way to stabilize and survive until you pull off the combo and good amounts of removal. Now, for double blue, the main reason for double blue is to have a cheaper Vigilance, because Vigilance at 6 can sometimes be painful, paying 6 for that just to potentially maybe defeat something, and heal 5, because you're mainly going to be using early to heal, and it can be an alternative option as well to mill. So the nice thing about Vigilance is in double blue, it makes it cheaper so you can use it to survive a little bit easier and give big healing cheaper, and also offers a easier way to have an alternative win through milling, as the alternative way if you want to not reveal the combo of the first game and then want to reveal the combo in the second game or the second and third game. But yeah, double blue Vigilance gives you that nice option to make Vigilance cheaper, is literally the only reason. And you can also, from a meta standpoint, you can have Equalize as well, be a cheaper good option to help against like Django, Tarkentown. Then the other reason, the other one is yellow, and the reason for that is you've got some pretty good, nice little combo events and upgrades. So you've got Enticing Reward as a nice way to a unit to put in your opponent, well, a part of the Mandalorian package, the Mandalorian upgrade package, put in your opponent's unit, and then when you do defeat it or capture it or use spell the target on it as a way to remove it, you can then basically keep your hand healthy by grabbing from the top 10 any 2 events and add those to your hand, or any non-units, any upgrades or events to help keep your hand healthy. Now, if you don't use it on a unique unit, you will have to discard a card, but most of the time you're going to be using it on unique units and then keeping off the board, because they're only more likely going to be the stronger ones and the issue ones. And like I said, spare target is basically a waylay for your opponent's units that can trigger these bounties, so it's a little bit more useful in waylay being able to trigger these bounties. And you're more likely going to want to move things off your opponent's board because you're not really going to be playing anything, and bouncing things off your opponent's board will trigger Yoda and trigger those bounties. And then we've got Evacuate. Now this is a nice one because it's like a mini Super Laser Blast. It doesn't defeat everything, but at least like for Yoda, reset from the board. It means you can just bounce everything on your opponent's on the board. That's not a leader back to hand, so you can trench your opponent's leader and then evacuate everything to keep returning it over and over again. And it just gives you mass removal to help you potentially if your opponent's got a lot of units and they're trying to like whittle you down, and once they hit you to 25 damage, and then they still got more things on board, you can evacuate, put them all back to the hand. Now you've removed everything off board to trigger Yoda to do the combo, and you've prevented all those potential ever attacks from being able to come in and kill you. It's very handy options there. Next we have the upgrade package. So this is the Mandalorian upgrade package, and it's a very handy one to keep you with a consistent flow of cards and be able to find those useful things as well. And this is the way is the key part of it, because it's a 2-cost event you can play as early as turn 1, so it's a nice turn 1 play which you don't have too many of, but it's a very good one because it's one of the main cards in the game that can help you plus. There's not many cards that allow you to plus, but allow you to go break even. So like 1-for-1, like trade one of your cards, either replace a card in your hand or deal with a card on board. And it's one of the few ways, I think maybe the only way, I'm not sure, that allows you to plus, because it's a 2-cost event that allows you to look at the top 8 cards of your deck and add up to any 2 Mandalorian and or upgrades, reveal them, and add them to your hand. So you can grab one of any of these upgrades. So you can grab your top targets, entrench, paralyzation, and enticing reward. Very handy upgrades to be able to put in your opponent's units that either with like paralyzation stop things like from attacking, make it a bit weaker. Entrench, make it so they can't attack you at all because you're not going to have anything for them to attack into in that arena. So very handy to have that ready for their leader deploy. And then your bounties like top target, enticing reward, so that way you can put your opponent's unit, take him out with one of the many removal options you have, and then trigger that to either get some healing or searching for more events. And the nice thing is it can also search itself because it is self a Mandalorian, so you can keep having a card to play every turn if you're like playing against a deck that doesn't need to it's not aggroing down. You don't need to keep responding by taking out the units. You can use that as a way to kind of gain loads of build up your hand, so you've got many options and many ways to deal with your opponent's board. And then you've also got units you can play, so you can grab. It can be useful to grab your for turn 1 to then grab your Concord Dawn Interceptors to help against Django, or your Razor Quest to then go and grab back some of those upgrades once they've been used. So grab back those entrenched once they've got rid of them, or Paralyzation after you've used them to potentially remove a card, or weaken something, or the bounties when they use them up, or even grab Prevas for the burn version to have a unit to then make sure you've got the charge that you want to make sure you're charging those red units. So in terms of removal, you've got a lot of different things. You've got in blue being the aspect that has most of the instant removal events. You've got all these. So you've got Vigilance is a good one. It gives you multiple options, and one of them is removing something. That's got 3 or less remaining HP, and also gives you a chance to heal or mill. Not often you're going to put a shield on something, but there's an option there. You're mainly going to be using it to remove a unit and heal for damage, or use it as a mill option if you go for that route. And then you've got the ever removal options as well, like Takedown, Vanquish, Rivals Full, and Fellow Dragon, all to instantly defeat a unit. And very like Fellow Dragon, Takedown. Fellow Dragon, Takedown are cheap ones at 4, but hit certain things like Takedown hits anything 5 or less from 8 HP, which you can whittle down something, or even Paralyzation put in a range to take it out. And Fellow Dragon just kills anything that's 5 or more power, like you're more likely to get side that rather than main it, because it's got less of a hit to most of the decks at the moment. And you got Vanquish that takes anything that's not a leader, so a very handy one. A little bit more expensive at 5, but takes out anything that's not a leader, which if you got your opponent's leader entrenched, it's a better way than Fellow Dragon to take out anything your opponent would play. And in Rouse Full hits absolutely anything and even a leader, so you can use this way to take out a leader if you don't see this entrenched. Then you have some nice options as well in yellow, like you do have Spare the Target here, and Evacuate. Spare the Target being a nice way, and it's like a waylay just for your opponent's units, but can also trigger bounties you put on your opponent. So a handy way to do that, and just cheap way to remove and trigger Yoda. And Evacuate is a widespread removal, but he does put everything back in your opponent's hand, so you can play it back out again, but you're taking it off the board so they can't attack you with it, and they have to play it back out, paying their energy for it as well. So it can stop multiple attacks and allow you to control when the attacks go through them when you get to pull off the combo. Now you can have Waylay as well as an option. I just didn't put it in here because while it is a cheap removal, just like Spare the Target, you can put it as an option. But unlike Evacuate, it only hits one target, and unlike Spare the Target as well, it doesn't trigger those bounties, which you want to kind of trigger that you put on your opponent's cards as well. And speaking of Spare the Target, there is a nice little combo you can have with it, which is Distant Elite combo, which is putting in Enticing Reward and Spare the Target, because you can put Enticing Reward on your opponent's unit. Hopefully it's on a unique unit, and then Spare the Target to bounce that unit. You put it on, bounce their hand. So you've removed the unit from the board to trigger Yoda, and then Enticing Reward is now going to trigger because you've triggered the bounties from Spare the Target. And look at the top 10 cards of your deck. Grab 2 non-unit cards, being upgrades or events. Add them to your hand, and you basically just use 2 cards to remove something off the board to trigger Yoda, and then and basically just grab 2 new cards that could be anything you want that's not an event from the top 10. So you can potentially get the same 2 cards from the top 10 again to do it again, or some helpful things like get the combo pieces that you're looking for and needing to pull off the combo. Now this is really nice because it keeps your hand healthy with events to help you stall out to the point where you could actually pull off the combo. Now you probably will be saying what if your opponent's got Relentless or Crate Drag? And that's going to be a problem, right? Because Relentless is going to stop any of your events, the first event you play, from having a effect, loses all abilities, so you can't really trigger. And then Crate Drag is just going to do more damage you get on. Now, these are going to be problem cards. They're definitely going to be problem cards because, yeah, like you said, Relentless is going to stop the first event you play from have any effects, but you can always use that to bait out. You can use some cheap events to maybe bait it out, or even then you've got other ways to remove. Like your opponent has a 2 health unit, you can use Perilous as a way to go ahead and defeat a unit to trigger Yoda. and then you can use Yoda then to top deck a high costing card to then deploy and defeat Relentless, and then try and get Yoda defeated so you can put it back so you can get it set up. So you got those ways to deal with these units, that kind of thing. And also you've got other ways to kind of deal with them. Because like, yeah, Crate Dragon is a problem, but you can always bounce it or have a way to remove it. You'll take damage, but that can help you get to the point you need to be able to pull off the combo. And to deal with these kind of problem cards, you do have some cards you have in prison. There's a nice little event as part of the upgrade event package, a Mandalorian upgrade package, which you can then, if they do drop these cards, you can put this on. It costs 2, so Crate Dragon's going to only do 2 damage to your base if you're worried about that. And it's going to just cut the effects off, so you can just carry on as normal. To put this down on your opponent's either Relentless or Crate Dragon. Now, their effects are null and void, they've got no abilities, and you can just carry on as normal. You also got Spark Rebellion as a card you decided, especially, which is a lot cheaper if you play the yellow version, that can then go ahead and rip them out your opponent's hand if your opponent is playing those in. If you're playing against certain aspects and they're playing those cards, you can try and rip them out from their hand using Spark Rebellion instead. So while there are problem cards like that, there are ways to go about that. It's just basically just testing the deck, testing those options, basically essentially doing more testing and seeing how effective these can be or how you can play around those problems. Because while there are problems, there are ways to play around them. Now we've got the kind of sideboard options. So if you're thinking about like what could you potentially side in this kind of deck, where you've got like you've got a specific combo you want to play, you don't really want to tinker with the like move cards from the deck because it's sort of your main deck is fully set up, ready for you to just go ahead and pull off the combo. What cards are you going to take out inside? Well, here are some good options that I've put that can help you. You can side decks. Remember, while side decks can be copy and pasted just like any deck, side decks are more personal to the person playing, because they're then what that person wants to put in. They'll up against deck matches they find is going to be troublesome, or they've come across in their local meta or their meta in their area, or just how they prefer to play. Now, these are the ones I've got. These 6 cards I can find are pretty helpful. And first of all, we've got Restock and Bounty Hunter's Crew. This is really handy for against those meal and hard control matchups, because they help keep up against them and stop them from taking control. Restock also has an extra way of being another way you can put Endless Legions to the top of your deck without the use of Yoda. So if you don't have your opponent's not playing things out to remove the trigger Yoda, you've got Restock as another way you can potentially top deck Endless Legions, because if you get decked out and have no cards in your deck, you can restock to just put Endless Legions on top of your deck, back in your deck, which would be then technically on the top, and then use your own hope to play it out. And then Bounty Hunter Crew is another way to grab back Restock if you do lose it, or grab back your Endless Legions if you do end up getting discarded from your hand or milled out, and basically get back so you can top deck them off the combo. We also got Smuggler's Aid. Now this is a handy one that I do like and I have used in games, and it's a nice one because gives you an extra little bit of healing to survive to make sure you pull off that combo, because sometimes your opponent might put you to a point where they're trying to do enough damage without putting you to 25 damage so you can pull off the combo. And Smuggler's Aid is a nice one to kind of heal and have a cheap way to heal at 1 cost at 3 damage. 3 damage is pretty good. Not the biggest, but still pretty good. And you can smuggle it in as well, so you can always, especially in the burn version, if you draw this early and don't draw enough red cards, you can put this as one of the cards that you resource that isn't red, and then you can always use Yoda when you remove something off the board or something's left the board. You can use Yoda the draw and top deck a card you want in your resource, and then use Smuggler's Aid to then smuggle out. It replaces the top card you set up, which is a red card, into your resources, and then heal you. So you can not only heal, but set up more cards in your resources to pull off the combo. And same for the build-a-board one. So it helps you give a little bit more to the whole setting up stuff in your resources that you want to, but you wasn't able to resource or didn't have enough early, and then basically set up a bit more as well. We've also got Super Laser Blast. This is handy because remember, Yoda's always blue, so you can have the blue aspect covered, but you won't have the dark aspect covered because Yoda's in the light side. So it will cost you 10 this, but is another way to kind of remove your opponent's entire board and kill their board. So if you're not, you could be extra ways to kind of just move the entire board. If your opponent goes very wide, like gets the later game goes very wide, you can just Super Laser Blast take on everything, and then top deck with Yoda. Potentially it will cost 10, but if you get to that point where you can just nuke the board and they can't play anything out active ready to attack you, you can then take initiative and then start controlling the board a little bit more from there. So it could be an extra way to kind of give like widespread removal if need be. And then the last 2 I had in there are the ones to help deal with those like more meta decks like Django and stuff, because those are the ones that have those really cheap space units, but are very fragile space units with like 2 health. And if you're playing double blue, you've got Equalize is a good way to potentially hit like 2, like get like just like with what's it called, the This Is the Way, getting extra value by being able to minus 2 things down by 2/2, so you can then take out 2 things for 1, or have make an opening so you can take out 1 thing but then heal. So you've got one option that gives you heal, and one option being equalized to give you more hits, but then it varies potentially on what. Well, if you're playing double blue, you can play both. If you're playing yellow, equalize is going to cost you a little bit more, but it'll be helpful depending on how you feel about it. But those are just like some options that you can side deck. That can be handy because you don't really need more units because you've got the units in your main deck that you need for, say, the burn combo or to build a board. So you may only need those events and upgrades that you basically need to help stop your opponent's board. Now, I did show that you can use like a Spark Rebellion as a card. You could probably side or main if one as a way to deal with those problem cards. I didn't put that in because I kind of forgot about them, but Spark Rebellion is another card you can kind of put in if you want to rip cards at your opponent's hand and kind of like a certain matchups, just to make sure your opponent doesn't have that option in hand. Now, I do have some examples of the combo that I've pulled off. Now, I'm not going to do some gameplay of Karamas because some of these games can take very long, and the issue with that is that some players that I play against when trying to pull off a combo would just, as soon as I pull off the combo, or before I can pull off the combo, would just scoop and just get really like angry in the chat and stuff. And that's not something I really want to put in watching a very long game of me trying to pull off the combo against someone who's taken it forever and then speeding it up. It's not worth it. So I've just got screenshots I've been taking and just plastering in my fun Endless Legions chat in my Discord to go ahead and basically show off sometimes when I pulled off combo and just some funny boards I've made. And I've done it against a variety of decks. I've done it against almost every leader, or like almost every relevant leader, and some other fun leaders, or like tier 2 leaders and stuff like that. So I had like a game here against Yoda, where I played Yoda Green. I was able to, with the yellow version, build a board and have this huge board. I think the biggest board I've ever built out, and just have it so they just can't do anything. Because I think they even put that they're only here to see what I was gonna play after I was doing nothing the whole game apart from just bouncing everything back, and then I managed to build out, bring out 11 units in a single turn with it, with 3 of those being Crate Dragon and even a clone copying the Crate Dragon. So if they play anything, I'm going to burn extra with Crate Dragon. And while Yoda is entrenched, it can attack, but then it can't attack my base. It attack to 1 units. I went from all the way down from 25 or more 25 health down to 0, as you can see, with this entire huge board while taking, I think, 2 of their units off board, and then having 3 Cargo Juggernauts to heal me, a Luminar which healed me for 11, and 2 reinforcement walkers to heal as well, which I still got enough of the deck, and then 1 of each of my space units there just to pound from that away if I wanted to. Also had it against Anakin Blue, and this is where I was able to do basically just push through and then do 39 damage to his base and built up this huge board. So they went from having a board where I think had their leader plus 5 things on board, and I was able to capture their entire board, deal the last bit of damage to their leader through Palpatine, and then have this so they're not going to be able to. Basically, they haven't got any way to like bring things out and take out anything or anything relevant, because I've got the Mandalorian and I got a Sentinel in both space arenas. If you want to play any event, Relentless is going to stop them, and I got Chimera, so I can rip a card they might have in their hand that I might know they have in hand, and just overwhelm them with that, and even then a potential chance to do it again later on as well, thanks to having the combo again in my hand. I've also done it against Cad Bane as well. Cad Bane tell me I'd bring out this huge board, even with a Crate Dragon on board, and managed to do, as you can see, I was able to capture 5 of their units on board. They've still got Cad Bane on board, their leader, but I've got a Sentinel on the ground arena, so the Mandalorian they've got to go through. And also everything, as you see from this point, they gave up before they gave up after I got to the next turn, after they took the initiative up off the combo. And now I've got this huge board there. So they can go ahead and just attack into my Mandalorian with Cad Bane, but the rest of my stuff's going to kill them. And I've got plenty of health in my base and a Crate Dragon, so the more they play, I'm going to damage their base and just take it out. So if they got 9 resources to play with, but I can actually do up to 9 damage to your opponent's base. So against some meta decks, it does work still against meta decks. I even got this one against a Palpatine control deck, Palpatine Blue. I was able to build this huge board and do, once again, 39 damage to their base, where they can weaken it by Palpatine, but they still can't deal with this huge huge board I've built out. And the annoying thing is, on Counter Blast, Dryden doesn't work, so Dryden doesn't trigger when you play him out. Even if you play him out after you finalize or before, he doesn't work to allow you to play something from your opponent's board, so that's a shame to... Like, I want to try that on there, but it doesn't always work, because I could have taken their Palpatine or something, and then play it, or one of the units I have taken from him, play them on my board. Unite against boss as well, and yeah, just bring out this huge board, and they still can't deal with it as well. Got Relentless to stop their overwhelming barrages. I got Devastator. I even got Chimera to swing and name over on barrage Stitch from hand, and I got a heal as well. So as you can see from all these times, I've healed with Luminara and basically just made it so they can't really, deal with it. And then I've got this one where I've got the Yoda troll phase as well that I started putting on things, and this was able to, for Sabine as well, even against Sabine, I was able to because they do enough damage early on to get you to the point where you can pull off the combo early. And as long as you've got some good units in there to kind of like heal and also just take out the a finalizer, you can take their entire board and bring these kind of boards. And here you can see they've used up their ECL, and I've got Crate. They're entrenched as well, so they have to go through my units, not my leader. So they're gonna have a hard time with that. They can't attack my base, and Sabine's gonna die to most of them because some of them are shielding. One of them's got grit, and the other two are gonna survive Sabine no matter what. And then big space arenas that I can just swing with to take him out, and also name a couple and take it away, like say 4 calls and stuff. And that is the examples. So I've got those are all the examples I've got, and yeah, this deck is a load of fun. I've got more examples since making this video that I could have put in, but then that would have made it way too long to show enough. But I've got I play against all the leaders, all the meta leaders, and it is a fun way, and it is kind of trolly because you're actually doing nothing for the whole game apart from defending and holding off, which kind of people don't like, similar to hard control. But then you will do something, because you either win through a burn at the end of the game and just burn them to enough to beat their base, or you build this huge unbreakable board that they just aren't going to be a deal with unless they've got the key things and you're in a bad situation. So let me know how you feel about Yoda and the Outro, how you feel about this combo. This is a combo that doesn't seem like it's consistent and stuff, but is a lot of fun, and it's not too consistent, but then it depends on the matchups and what you draw. Like in most games, you can't just auto win against certain decks. You have got a chance against every deck. It just depends what you draw, what your opponent draws, and especially against aggro decks, how quickly can they pull the combo off what you've got the combo. So thank you for watching. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.